Hey guys, this is V, aka MacIak on Discord. I'm here with Luuk, and we're gonna do a little, we're gonna try and do a little tutorial about how to waterproof the ADV. Just for the ease of visibility and everything, we just gonna take the rails off. So we have the boxes in a married situation, and we're gonna take it from there. How did this get here? It's a piece of thermal pad.
Huh.
Ah, maybe.
Oh, it came out.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So looks like Tony pushed some bits of thermal pad under the lid for some extra heat transfer to the rails, I guess. Didn't have that on mine. Quite interesting. Let's see in the front, same thing. So pieces of thermal pad under the box lip. Let's flip this around a bit to see. Oh wait, this thing is stuck in there as well, right? On two sides. Grab a little screwdriver. Let's pry this away. Yep, one. Where's that little lip? There you go. Don't want to force the cable too much. There. There we go. So let's take a look underneath this thing. So this area had some thermal pad on it, as well as this area. I guess this one's stuck in the rail somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Here it is. So let's just leave it on there. Maybe it's useful, maybe not. Who knows? Just at least transfers a bit of extra heat to the rails, I guess. But yeah, my ADV with regular rails didn't have it. So there we go. Okay, so important, now the rails removed. Most important part is we go step by step over some areas that need to be waterproofed with the flowable silicone. Just clean it first well with a wet rag, with or without some cleaning material on it, and after that we're gonna put it through another cleaning session with 99 point something percent isopropyl alcohol. That's gonna ensure that the silicone can bond well with the surface. So it's really important. Clean it, and if you're gonna do it this method with both boxes uninstalled, just take care of this cable. Don't force it too much. Keep it in shape and don't pull it or yank it or whatever. Respect the cable. Yes. All right. So just to demonstrate, we can. Well, this was obviously tightened. Now, when you have it fully tightened, you can see there's loads of play here in the cable, and just not just play. This is actually a through hole and an open invitation for your electronics that crave water. So what we want to do is we want to unscrew this one, and you can do either two things. You can either squirt some silicone around this area and then tighten it again, or you put some water tape around it and tighten it. I'm gonna do in a bit the latter, just to demonstrate it's also an option, and the rest we're gonna silicone at certain spots, and we're gonna show you in a bit. So we're using 99 point something percent isopropyl alcohol or isopropanol. It's important you use that stuff because it cleans really well and it evaporates extremely quick, so you can continue your work rapidly. Just clean it well, that's all you can do. Just like that. Just to demonstrate, two things are possible. So in this case, instead of putting silicone around this one, to be a bit less messy, I'm just gonna put some water tape around it. Just 1 or 2 times the diameter should work fine. Okay, this is failing miserably. Like that. And then we're going to go ahead and screw this thing back in place. So at least this should ensure that the threads are a bit more waterproof. There. Yeah, doesn't go another one. Okay. And now we're gonna take some silicone and we're gonna make a bead around this area. Oh, let me take a stick to show it. So we're gonna put a silicone bead around this area, the root, where it enters the box. And we're gonna put a bead of silicone around this area, around the cable. And the flowable stuff will like nicely go in here and seal off everything around it. While doing so, we're gonna move the cable a little bit, so it has also the chance to enter where the cable is likely to well, flex a little bit due to vibrations or putting back the box together into the rails. So this whole area is saturated. Obviously, when you disassemble the board and you unscrew this thing, you have to redo it all over again. So that's the price to pay. Okay. What we did so far, we put water tape on the threads here, water tape on the threads here. These two we're not going to touch yet, we're just going to do silicone. So a silicone bead around this area at the root and around this area. Now these two are actually quite well sealed. But while we have the boxes in this position, you know, why not and put a bead of silicone there just to make sure we have it. And these ones have to dry anyway for about 20 minutes. So we might as well take this along. One thing, please be careful. Don't put any silicone in here, in the openings, because there's a little Gore-Tex membrane inside, which is used to vent the battery box. Now I'm not sure how waterproof that one is against splash water from the tire. It's possible that water can get through it. I don't know. I haven't tested it. Personally, I plugged this whole thing, drilled a hole on the other side, like the Badger one on an XR, and I'm using that to test waterproofing. So it's at your own risk. This area, uncharted territory for me personally. We're gonna now. So this is actually the water tape we put on these threads. You can buy it everywhere. I just have it for home use, but why not use it in one move, right? Now we get our Permatex 81730. I think it's the same as the Versacam one, used to be distributed before by Badger. And we're gonna use it to put some silicone around it. You can use a little wooden stick or anything other sharp to just force the silicone into certain areas. And let it dry for 20 minutes to half an hour. It becomes quite jelly and it won't flow anymore, so you can flip the boxes and work on other areas if you want to. I'm going to just grab a little sharper stick to do that if I need it at all. As you can see, my workshop is under construction, so I used the temporary spot where I use my wife's magazines as a clamp to keep these boxes up right like this. Bricks work as well, or somebody else holding them in place for about half an hour. Okay, trying to get the silicone in. So first we're going to start with the root here. Put some silicone. I mean, you can do a beautiful job and really put some effort in there, or you can make it look ugly. I mean, you won't see it anyway, as long as this area is sealed. Make sure to cover all around it. Just like that. And give it a chance to dry. Let's do the other side while we're at it. And you just wonder, is it really necessary to do the root? Yes and no. It is good to do it because there is an opening there. Water shouldn't be able to enter because we put the water tape in there, or silicone if you want to. But you know, it never hurts really to do it, because that area is not going to be touched for a while. So most importantly, this area, put lots of silicone on it. Maybe squirt it in there a little bit if you're able to. It can be different from board to board how much play there is, but there's a lot of play, and that's definitely 100% guaranteed not waterproof, this area. So like that. Now we're just gonna wiggle that cable around a little bit to get the silicone in there. It would have been ideal to have a little hole like the Badger one, so you can put your little bulb there and suck it vacuum, so that if there's any air leak, well, in this case it won't really work because of this vent, but in the other box it will. It will actually suck the silicone into the enclosure and really saturate any openings if there are any left. Yeah, this should do the trick just fine. So we're going to do the other side in a bit, and also this area, and we'll show a little image when finished after doing that. So to show how this can be done, you just pull the cable aside a bit, create an opening, put your tube on it, and squirt some of the silicone into it, basically like this. Move the cable aside. You see there's a little opening there now. Can you see it?
Slightly, yeah.
All right, and just put your tube there and squirt it so it gets filled with silicone. Now there is a chance, while doing so, that the silicone might actually enter the internals of your box. Can't really hurt that much, because I know from experience there's not really a lot there that can be affected by the silicone, but if it makes it to your electronics, you can pry it off with a little wooden stick and get it out of the way. And we're going to check in a bit actually if there's anything inside. And also show the option, you can also do the sealing from the inside if you want to. As you can see, all 4 entries to the boxes are done. Little beads around it. I mean, I couldn't work any neater, because I already had this little tube thingy, and I cut it too rough. Well, in fact, I put a screw in there to seal it, and it kind of destroyed. The opening is too wide. Just make it a bit narrower so you can work more precisely and neatly. And it will definitely be a lot better. But everything is done. We have to wait until it cures a little bit. It goes pretty fast, about half an hour. So we're gonna have some coffee and have a chat and come back to you later. Okay, after some nice chatter, this stuff is cured. You can just like touch it a little bit. It's still jelly, but it won't flow anymore. So when you flip it over or give it another orientation, it will stay put. So this we can consider to be done. You can't use it yet. If you want to ride, wait 24 hours until the stuff is fully cured. Otherwise you might have any torsion or vibration or some debris hitting it, and it will just create a mess out of this. So let it dry, but this is good enough to continue our work on, well, say the light bars, maybe the light areas. So that's coming up next. Okay, the light windows. Now, this is actually a perfect example of what I'm trying to say with these light windows. Is you can see how the glue is set properly around here, and here you see a portion, and even there is some ingress. If you look at the LEDs, they're a bit colored. No idea what it is. Can be slight damp, dust, whatever. But this portion has been compromised, which is a perfect location to have water ingress. Even worse when it's on the top, because water goes down into this little void here and enters your box. Now you could obviously take out the window, put new tape on it and reattach it while cleaning everything. We're not going to do that. In this case, we're just going to seal up the rectangle area around it with the silicone. And but yeah, please be mindful that, you know, when you see these kind of things, it's basically a reason to assume that this box is not waterproof at all. It clearly made its way inside onto the LEDs, and from there onwards it's just like a little bit onto your BMS and battery pack and everything in there. So we're going to seal this one up good as well, let it cure, and continue with the next step. But first, clean with alcohol again, very, very well, and you know, take your time doing this.
And how we put the cable.
Yeah.
Clever way. Yeah.
We have done one side of the light window already, just to indicate it looks messy, it looks gooey, but you know, trust me, you want this. Just to give you a difference with a box I did before, where I didn't degrease it properly, you can see actually there is voids in the silicone job here and there, where the grease didn't allow it to set properly. So you want to do it right. It has to be one nice interrupted blob of silicone around the light window, as we're going to demonstrate now by doing the other one. I was lucky to find another tip that is less wide, so I can actually work a bit more precise. Let's see if I can make that happen as well in real. So here is the gap is nice and wide, so I'm just going to squirt the silicone in there. Take your time a bit doing that. The same on the other side. It doesn't matter if it gets on the window or a bit on the plastic, you know, you're not going to see it anyway. And here you just want to have it at a 45-degree angle and make a nice solid line slowly. This is my favorite side. That looks the least messy. There. See, I missed a bit here. Is it visible, Phil?
You can see it, yeah.
Nice. Did I miss something there? Reflection is kind of... No, it's good.
It's good.
All right. So now my least favorite part is here, because there's hardly any gap between the light window and the plastic housing. So I'm just gonna put it on top of the little area and squeeze gently the silicone in whatever gap there's left. So at least something gets in there. There. And just gonna redo it lightly with a line of silicone on top. Yeah, I know it's ugly. It's hideous, but the best I can do at the moment. Just to ensure this thing is gonna be submersible, at least when it comes to the light window there. Sort of like this. It ain't pretty, but it does the job. And if you spilled any of this material on the window itself, I mean, you can leave it on it, or you can just scrape it away with your nail or some plastic or a credit card or something like that. But just don't touch the bead around it, just on the window itself, because you might pull the rest away as well in your attempt to do so. That's it for now. Time for another break, because this has to cure. While our light windows are still curing, I just went ahead and grabbed the spare lid I have to demonstrate what to waterproof on this one. Just be reminded when you open up your box, these two guys, don't pull open the lid. You'll rip them out. They're hard to replace. So be careful when you open up the lid to disconnect the wires first. Not going to show them. You can see those in Tony's video. We might demonstrate it later on in the vid if we open up the boxes we just waterproofing. But this one's just to show you how to do it. We obviously degreased the parts that need to be done already, which is basically the foot pad. What is the thing called again? The light bar window. This is light bar, right? Mm-hmm. Light bar thingy. We're going to put silicone around here and also on the inside around here, just around the edges of the PCB where it meets the metal, to make sure nothing gets in there. And then we're gonna check the, can you see it? Yeah, a bit more light maybe. There's this black gooey stuff around the footpad connector. It seems that on some boxes it's missing, or there's like very little of it. I'll just go ahead and put some silicone here as well, just to make sure there is nothing missed out. I mean, there should be a gasket here, or this little O-ring. Some people reported it was missing on their boards. Check it. You need it. It needs to be there. This is your first line of waterproofing when water gets between the footpad and this metal plate. But you know, I mean, I don't know if it actually works as intended, because there's plastic that goes on top of this, and plastic is flexible, there's torsion. I mean, it might make its way through it, and then you don't want it to go into this. I'm not sure what happens if water hits these pins, if there's shortage or whatever, but I do know that if water gets into this little black part and it gets through this hole into your box, onto your vest, and that's not good. So at least we want to prevent that from happening. Please be careful. Don't put any silicone on the pins. They might become unreliable, stop functioning completely until you remove the silicone, because it will prevent contact. So just around this little edge here. Let me actually start with that part. So put the nozzle in there and maybe at an angle, and put the silicone like that into the gap. Got to be careful here. We don't want to put more than actually absolutely necessary, because it might prevent the fitment of the part on the footpad side. So there we go. It's there. I mean, it's even possible that this little bit we put on there is too much, but it's not higher than the screws around it, so it should be good. And if you're really not sure, you know, you want to pry some extra silicone somewhere, just put some on the tip of a little skewer, and you can nicely distribute it like this. It will look ugly in the beginning, but it levels out kind of nice to create an even surface, and flows into places where there's none. Unless you fail to clean it properly, then it will not flow at those locations, and it will just like get repelled by the grease. So yeah, that's that part. Now the next one is this little what is this thing called in English anyway?
The battery indicator or something?
No, the little area between, like,
gap?
Gleuf. Gap? Yeah, okay. This gap, well, it's not really a gap. It's kind of tight, but you just want to put, because, I mean, it looks like this thing is an extra part. This is actually one unit. But here where it meets the metal, yeah, that's where you want some silicone in there. I'm going to do it with my little stick method. So put something on the tip of a stick, and then put it in there. And we're gonna do the same from the other side, so it's gonna be double sealed. So if you don't want to miss a spot, but in case you miss a spot, it's not a big disaster, because you'll have like 2 firewalls instead of none.
Tricky.
The light bar is done. Nicely all around. And also the little opening for the footpad connector is done. Just mind, don't put any silicone on this metal edge here, because that is exactly where this guy fits in. And you just don't want to, you want to ensure that these 3 connection points actually sink down into here, and when you put too much silicone around it, it can't, you might have connection issues, I don't know. Just don't, and don't spill anything on the pins. Now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the other side. I'm not going to put anything in there, because I don't want to risk anything flowing through and getting onto the pins. I don't know, maybe it's possible, but I haven't opened up this thing, so I couldn't say. On the outside is enough, that's sealed. This one I'm going to leave alone. What we're going to do is we're going to put a silicone seal on this edge, on the sides, which is a bit harder because there's not really a place where the silicone can rest on. And we're going to put silicone along this corner here. So actually everywhere where the PCB meets the metal, we're going to silicone it. We're going to start here again at a 45-degree angle. Just do a nice bead of silicone around it. I mean, we can afford to be a bit sloppier on this side. I think. You think, yeah, we can be a bit sloppier, as long as you don't get silicone around here, because this is where the O-ring rests. You will just ruin its functioning when you spill silicone on that side specifically. I'm gonna put some sloppy bead of silicone here. The same on the other side. I just hate it when there is not a nice little ridge where you can rest the silicone on, but anyway, I mean, this works. Let's put something on the screw holes there as well. I don't know. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't, who cares? Because silicone, we will use it. And here, and this is my favorite part. There.
So there's some gaps in the beginning.
Yep. Okay, my favorite part is failing me. We'll get there. Still got a full tube almost of silicone here, so. Did I clean this thing?
Yes.
I did.
You did.
Okay.
Off camera.
Hey, it's just my own competence then. There we go. Done. Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to see it, so it can be ugly. Just one thing is that we're going to have this cure, and in a bit we're going to screw open the actual lid. We didn't silicone yet, but we're going to do so. We're going to screw that open, and we're going to take a look at the inside. I think, as far as I know, just the power button and charge port are remaining to be done. So let's focus on that now. Just as a reference, when you want to open up this box, for the ones who haven't done so already, you have to unscrew 8 bolts from the bottom all around it, because these 4 are used to fix the box in the, actually the lid is fixed to the rails, and it holds the box onto the lid. So basically the lid is the only thing that's actually stuck on the rails. So you want to remove the 8 bolts from the bottom.
Using Tony's little tool.
Yeah, the small one.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you do it right, these bolts will stay in the plastic. And then you lift up the front carefully. You already see the thermal pad releasing itself here. You can just leave it in there. And then you see a thermal pad. Oh, let me grab my little magic stick. A thermal pad on this side and a thermal pad on the other side. Just leave them in there. They're fine where they are. This one needs a bit of help staying in place, but we'll do it later. Most importantly, the footpad connector. You want to click that one in and pull it out gently. Then you can lift it a bit further because there's slack in this cable here. Click it in and pull it out. And put aside the lid. Needless to say, you don't want to touch any of these components here because there's power on it. We haven't done anything to cut the power yet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Yeah, and just remember the sequence of the footpad and battery, the footpad and the light bar cable. They're swapped. So the one in the rear here is actually the one that goes to your footpad. Let me see if I'm missing. Yeah, because it says ADC1, ADC2 on the PCB. So the rear one is actually for the front side, and the front one is actually for the rear side. They are interchangeable, so you can click one into the other one's spot, which will be, well, messing you up. So yeah. And in a bit, I'm just going to try and focus on the buttons inside and what to waterproof here. Put this thing in place nicely. There. Just a minor recap for people who want to mess around inside the boxes. Tony recommends, and which should be done, unplug this guy here. You want to pull it. Oh, this one's really tight. Oh my. So you want to pull release it. There's a little knob here on this side which prevents it from being able to yank out, which is a good thing. So you want to pull that out, and then you want to push the power button, and there should be a little light here on the Bluetooth module that comes on and off. So you want to push the power button repeatedly until that little blue light doesn't come on or off anymore to discharge the capacitors. So now the power should be off, and we should be able to actually work on the board. While we already have it open, in this case, we're going to check this little standoff that another Discord member has reported to be loose in some cases here underneath the LCM. In order to check that, we have actually to remove the LCM and check if that standoff is and other things are there where they're supposed to be. Never hurts when you have it open. Do a quick check, see if your components are okay. As we see it now, the lid is opened. We were very careful with disconnecting the little cables to the lid. While we had it open, as one of our Discord members already indicated, we checked the little standoff here in the LCM. We actually took out the whole LCM and checked all the standoffs. They were really, really well soldered, and nothing wrong with this one, luckily. But you know, when you have it open, it's not hard to check. We did the process as Tony described. Just tape this one here so we can't fry ourselves. And what I'm actually aiming at is waterproofing the power button. Now, it seems that the process, how these are done, is different from board to board. Mine actually had a black blob in the middle here, and it was quite extensive. This one has just like a little white blob here, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you look closely, you'll see some voids here. They're actually open connections to the outside world, meaning that if water gets in between your power button itself and its housing, it will just enter via these little, and they're all around. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna silicone this whole thing and maybe a bit around it as far as we can reach. While we're at it, when you look at the charge port where the cables actually enter to the plastic, they don't always seem to be fused quite well around here. So I'm going to put some silicone around these wire entries as well. We checked the part underneath this block. It looks like there's enough black glue around it to make sure nothing gets in. And also on the outside, you can see the black glue around the connector port, which is also looking very, very well done. So we're going to focus on this thing. Mind it, I mean, yours could be like completely blobbed with the black stuff or with the transparent stuff. Then I don't think there's any need to do it, but check it, because these little openings, these holes, they're actually not airtight, at least. So We're just gonna grab some silicone and go wild with it. Around the cable a bit. We can be nice and sloppy in this case because, I mean, nobody's ever gonna notice what we done. Well, there's not much coming out of it. There. Generous amounts of silicone. Okay, maybe the racers want to be a bit less generous because, you know, this whole half gram of weight we're adding in the front now. Like that. And let the flow do its stuff. But we definitely want to cover these holes. There, that should do it. Wait, I missed a spot in the back there, right? Yeah, there's in the back here, you can see where I couldn't reach from this angle. There's also another one of these little holes. Definitely want to cover that one. Done. And maybe around here. A little bit. Ensure nothing gets on the O-ring. We don't want to mess with the O-ring at all. There.
Beautiful.
That's it. Now, here, just squeeze a bit so it just goes right in between these two wires. And a little bit around it. There. Maybe push some of it at the back side here. I really wish we could just drill a hole in this box and suck it vacuum with this little badger bulb to see how the silicone gets sucked into certain places where you didn't expect it to go, but you know, I mean, this works as fine. Yeah, that's done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it cure and plug in everything, seal it up, and assume that we've done our part and put the board back together. This about concludes our, well, at least our limited waterproofing adventure here. We're gonna reconnect the Sparky and get this thing closed. Unfortunately, as I said before, there's no way to check if it's really waterproof or airtight. You could do it by drilling a how many millimeters? Maybe 4 millimeter hole at this location, or at this location, whatever is convenient, or anywhere else where you think you could patch it. I mean, on the side of the GT, I know it's somewhere on the side, maybe on the other side since there's a bit more room. And then use the badger tool after closing it up to see if it's really as you would like to have it. Well, that's basically it for the box. The rear, not much work, as said before. We could have a small look at the hub to see what can be done there, and then we'll conclude this adventure. Just to make you realize, I mean, if you look at the O-ring area, you can clearly see ingress of dust and potentially water go away. After short interruptions of a very fierce creature, we continue to explain that if you look at the O-ring area, you can clearly see, okay, there is maybe some dirt on the inner side because we touch it with our greasy fingers, but you can see the dirt on the outside, and this is also what happens with moisture, is it stops nicely there. The O-ring itself is clean, the inside is clean, so no rubbish has come in so far. The O-ring really will do its job quite well. No way to test it, unfortunately, unless you drill a hole, but we just rely on it. So before we conclude this this little project, I just wanted to have a quick look at the hub itself, and what can be done to waterproof it. And to be honest, for me, it's quite unknown. There's three things I can think of. First of all, the cable gland here. So what we're going to do in either case now is we're going to add some silicone around this edge of the cable gland, right where the cable enters the gland actually. So make sure that nothing gets in there. It's quite tight already, but just to be sure. And around the ring where it meets the inside of the axle, we're going to put some silicone there as well. So that's what we can do. Another thing that can be done is, well, I'm not really aware what kind of ring there is under this hub cover. If there's an O-ring and it seals well, there shouldn't be any issue. But if not sure, I mean, as I posted before, you can put a bit of silicone right here where I'm pointing at, and I don't think you want it to be flowable one. I think normal silicone, just a nice line around the screws and around the outer edge here, and then you gotta strike it in there using a wet finger with some soap dish of dish soap, soapy water, to make it nice and flat, and you can remove the excess however you want it. That creates a closed area where water ingress can never happen anymore. The third location of possible water ingress would be the bearing. I doubt it will be the seal, because it should be, well, it shouldn't allow any lubricant to come out, so it shouldn't allow any water to get in. It shouldn't, but I can't promise. This inner race, the area between the inner race and the axle, if there is a little O-ring rubber in there which is destroyed or not closing properly, water could get in there. And finally, the interaction area between the outer ring, so the outer race and the hub. If water gets in here, it could make its way into the motor. I don't know. This has to be explored, or at least guaranteed by the fabricator that this cannot happen. Until then, I'm not sure. But I will never put silicone anywhere here, because it can ruin the bearing area, and it just creates a lot of rubbing, since we have like the stator and the rotor moving around each other, and you don't want to interfere with that too much. So silicone here if you want. We're not going to do that today. I don't have the silicone, and actually the owner of the hub, I don't think, wants to have it done yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to do the gland area and make sure that's at least covered. Finally, what seems to be a problem is this guy here, where it actually connects into the box. I haven't found a solid way yet how to make sure that water will get onto the pins one way or another. Some people use some sort of grease to prevent that from happening. I haven't used anything, don't know what, so if anybody has a good idea, well, please report it on the appropriate channel in Discord, so it can be looked at and explored further. Ja hoor, zeker.
Alright, let's go.
So the cable entry As you notice, I can't really reach the backside of the... Oh wow, lights. I can't really reach the backside of it. And I'm gonna just use my magic stick to force it around the corner. So it's covered as much as possible. Same for this area here. It's gonna dump some silicone around the base. And well, in this case, don't forget the interaction area between the turning part of the, actually the cover of the cable gland and fixed part. And the, I mean, you remember we put some water tape on the threads. Well, here we can't, you can do it, but we're not gonna. We're just gonna put some silicone around the interaction area between the two parts, and use our little stick to get it everywhere. I might have to actually break my stick to give it an angle so I can get around the corner. I guess you can also reach it from the other side of the hub actually. I guess maybe to cross-check if silicone is there where we need it to be. Let me just squirt a bit more of the good stuff in there. And oh my god, it's not coming out anymore. Okay. So let's see if we can check the other side. Let's flip this around. Can you actually see anything? Not too much. Yeah, wait. Shred lights always works. There we go. Yeah, there's not much silicone on the other side. So let me try and fix that one way or another. Maybe I should get a spoon or something to scoop it in there with.
Or you could put a big dab on it just in front of it. You put it from this side, and with your stick you try to...
I just poke it. Well, I can put silicone on the stick and then... God bless wintertime. Seriously. So, this is what we call a specialty of the house, silicone on a stick. This is not working. Sort of. Ooh. It's everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, the cable area is done. That really worked well. Let me try the base of the cable gland there. Yeah, this works. Okay, it's become a bit of a messy job, but it's actually working. No, it's not. I missed it. I just dumped the silicone too early. Good luck getting that out of your axle. Ah, there we go. Oh yeah. A little bit more. More is better. Okay. Let's have a quick peek inside with the...
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of worked.
Yeah.
There we go. One silicone axle. Yeah, it's good.
Beautiful.
Time to cure. So yeah, just to keep it short, I mean, this is what we can do with the hub only. Not much more than this at this time. And remember, when you put your board back together, preferably before tightening out the bolts, just switch it on, check your Bluetooth connectivity, if everything is fixed correctly, your values show correctly, that you don't forget to plug in a cable or something like that. Just as a reminder, it's some hassle to open it up again. So thank you very much. This was hopefully something helpful to the community by me, MacIak, and Luuk on the camera. Thanks for his patience.
Yeah. All good.
So good luck with it. And remember, silicone And stick. You need the stick.
You need the stick.
Yeah, definitely need a stick. That's what we learned today.
All right. Thank
Have
you
a
for
nice one.
watching. Bye.